Hello guys, this is your friend Dark Fox Sage. And we are back with our new fanfic, which is what if Kurama gave his demonic powers to Naruto during the finals of chunin exams? Part 2. And if you enjoy this fanfic, then subscribe to the channel and like the video, it motivates me to upload more fanfics like these for you all. Now let's start the fanfic. Once they were in the forest, Sakura spoke. Naruto, who was that friend of yours? Naruto hesitated as he jumped through the trees. It was Uchiha Itachi, Sasuke's brother. Kakashi's eye went wide. What is he doing in Konoha? He's a missing nin. Naruto never slowed down. When I was in Wave Country, we bumped into each other. He told me what happened those years ago. It was true that Itachi killed all the Uchiha, but his reasons were good. He found out that his entire clan had done something to Sasuke that was wrong, and Itachi killed them all for it. However, the old man has heard the story and has reinstated Itachi as a leaf genin. Regardless of the exam's results, Itachi will be given the title, Sannin, to take the place of the traitor, Orochimaru. Naruto paused, blushing, then, I, as his official teammate, am to take Jiraiya's place in the legendary 3. Well, since the exam has ended, I'm sure that I already am. The rank has already been recorded, with the contracted in the Hokage vault, and a copy in my possession. Kakashi's visible eye widened. You're a Sannin. I thought the only way to that is to have the Hokage as a witness at a duel between the Sannin, being Jiraiya in this case, and the challenger, being you. I can understand Itachi becoming one, since Orochimaru has been labeled a missing nin, but you would have to duel Jiraiya. Naruto looked away, completely embarrassed. Last night we dueled. It lasted for hours, with me coming out on top just barely. Though, I doubt I could last for even a minute if he was in his prime. I barely had a fraction of my chakra restored by the fight with Neji. Sakura looked down. Naruto is a Sannin. How could this be? Sannin were the very best ninja in the village. Their jutsu unrivaled, and their chakra reserves incredible. Naruto was the worst in class. Everyone was at least twice as good as he was. Wait, that's not true. Naruto showed that he was great in the second exam, then beat Kiba. Now, after defeating last year's rookie, Neji, with his tenketsu closed off, he's still going strong not even an hour after his fight. Who in the 7 hells are you, Naruto? While Sakura was too shocked to talk from finding out that the school, dead last, was now of the highest rank, outside of Hokage, Kakashi only whistled. Then that makes you my superior, Naruto-sama. Naruto's eyebrow twitched in annoyance, then continued to run faster. Kakashi picked up his speed to keep up with Naruto, who already picked up Sakura and carried her on his back. What did they do to him? Sasuke, I mean, Kakashi asked. Naruto groaned. How was he supposed to tell Kakashi about Sasuke in front of Sakura? He could already hear her voice making a speech of how brave her, Sasuke-kun, is for being the angst-filled who protects the world of such a dangerous beast. There's be parades in the bastard's honor. He would be forever named greatest hero of all time Hokage, Sasuke. Okay, the hell with that. There is no fucking way that the bastard will be Hokage. I am the 9-tailed vessel for fuck's sake. That's a whole damn tail higher than that prick, Sasuke. Only way he's getting Hokage before me is over my damn body. Naruto yelled inside his mind. Kyuubi sweat dropped. You're getting off topic, idiot. A growl echoed through Naruto's mind. Watch who you're calling an idiot, you demonic fuzzball. On the outside, Sakura and Kakashi were staring at Naruto. Being the less impatient one, Sakura spoke first. Naruto. Kakashi asked you a question. Naruto sighed. This would make them suspicious. Using his most commanding tone, Naruto answered, it's classified by order of Sandaime Hokage. All further questions are to be referred to the Hokage. Though Sakura was reluctant to let the conversation stop, she noticed that her sensei nodded. Sensing that the conversation was indeed over, Sakura changed the topic. How did you change so much? They don't look natural. Naruto replied without hesitation, bloodline limit. Kakashi smirked under his mask, nice save. Sarutobi was gasping for breath. That was to be expected when fighting his own student, as evil and twisted as he was. Even after all these rounds, the Hokage couldn't believe that he was out of breath and Orochimaru was hardly winded. The snake could not do that in his old age, no matter how healthy. Sparing a quick glance, Sandaime saw that Itachi was trying his best to break through the barrier with no luck. However, the four who held it seemed to have used their curse seals to keep up their efforts. Orochimaru chuckled, gaining his old sensei's attention once more. What's wrong, old man? Can't defeat a lowly Sannin. Now it was time for Sarutobi to chuckle. Now, old friend, who said you were still a Sannin? Last time I checked, there were only 3. Foolish geezer, whatever do you mean? I left, that's all. I still hold the title since no one has defeated me. Sarutobi smiled. Yes, that is true. However, since your betrayal, I was able to make an exception with a promising shinobi that was glad to take your place. I believe you met him while you were in Akatsuki. Uchiha Itachi is now your replacement. Now, the only original Sannin is Tsunade. Orochimaru's eyes widened, only slightly hearing that he had been replayed. His hand curled around the kunai he was holding. Itachi had taken his place. No matter, he was already a cage. A more important piece of information came into his mind. Jiraiya has died. No, he was defeated last night in a duel by another promising young shinobi. The snake man blinked. Hey, for a second there, I thought you were telling the truth. However, your lies have betrayed you. No one could defeat Jiraiya, not even I. The Hokage sighed. Believe what you will. It will only last for a little longer, for you will die. Either by my hands, or Itachi, who is right outside this barrier. Blinded by rage, Orochimaru ripped off his old face to reveal his young new body. I will not die. Ever since I perfected my immortality jutsu, I have become invincible. Blinded by rage, Orochimaru flashed through many seals and yelled out, Kuchio's no jutsu, Edo Tensai. Instantly, 3 boxes rose up, which Sarutobi concluded were coffins. Looking closer at the box, he gasped. Reaching for as many weapons as he could, the Hokage threw them at the 3rd coffin, nailing the lid shut. It would be the end of this battle for him if Arashi came out. The other 2 coffin lids opened and out stepped Shodaime and Nadaime, Sarutobi's old teachers and the first 2 Hokage of Konoha. Looking fondly at their student, the 2 began to walk towards Sandaime, before Orochimaru slammed 2 kunai with tied notes into the back of their heads. Instantly, they stopped, and their grins turned into frowns as they reached for their weapons. Orochimaru took the time to explain, with this jutsu, I can bring the dead back to life, with all of their knowledge and techniques intact. They have the same chakra and strength, memories, and even memories. All around, old man, they are given a second chance at life. Just as alive as you or me. That is, until I place those notes into their skulls. Now, they are soldiers who fight for me. Their memories destroyed, all they know are their skills and that they work for me. Today, you will die. Though shocked, Sarutobi wasted no time with his attack, throwing his hands into a blur of hand seals. First, he summoned 2 shadow clones, then began another set of seals. Only hesitating for a moment, the Hokage completed the jutsu and latched a hold onto his old student, while the 2 shadow clones latched a hold of Shodaime and Nadaime. Orochimaru, this is the jutsu that the 4th used to seal the Kyuubi, the Shikifujin no jutsu. There is no escape. Even now the Shinigami has his hand through us both and is pulling the soul from you body. We will both die here. Eyes wide in terror, the Otokage thrashed, why in the hell would you do that, you fool. Surely you value your own life more than this village. A tear fell from Sarutobi's eye. True, most of this village are fools, but our shinobi are in a class above all else. They are the future. You see, not only do they fight with all of their great strength, they also fight with their hearts as well. Protecting one's precious people gives them strength beyond all limits. For them, I will gladly sacrifice my own life for them, as will the next Hokage. Though in extreme pain, Orochimaru managed to gain a hold of himself, pushing the Hokage away. However, as he did, he felt something go wrong. When he tried to lift his hands to feel his face, he noticed something, my arms. Fallen to his knees, Sarutobi let out a soft laugh. Yes, at the cost of my life, I have rendered your life as a shinobi useless. You can no longer do hand seals. The dying Hokage looked out of the corner of his eye and smiled when he saw Itachi attacking the barrier with new vigor. Itachi, it's too late for me. Train yourself to new limits to become a force against all. I hope you take care of Naruto. He will be Hokage one day. In his words, believe it. I'm going to miss you all. As Sarutobi fell to the ground lifeless, the four sound nins ran out of energy and had to end their barrier jutsu. As they were ordered before the fight, they rushed off, back towards the sound village. As their master said before, he could take care of himself. If they weren't in such a hurry to leave, they would have noticed that their Otokage was frozen in shock as he looked at his hands, and there was a cloaked ninja dashing towards the snake freak as fast as he could. Orochimaru, now you die. The Otokage barely broke out of his shock to see a pair of advanced Sharingan and a basic katana rushing for his neck in only half an inch away. Before he could even move, the sword sliced through, then came down vertically on the middle of his chest. Orochimaru gurgled a little bit, and took a single step, before collapsing onto the ground. Itachi watched the body carefully for a few moments, just to make sure the body was lifeless. It was. As the new Sannin was about to take the head as proof of his kill, a sound made him look around. Seeing no one, he looked down again. The noise happened once more. It was the sound of a thud on a hard surface. Itachi started looking around again, determined to locate the origin. A final noise was heard, but it was different. It was the sound of wood breaking. Itachi whirled around to find himself looking at him in the eyes with an angry glare on their face. The person spoke, mind telling me exactly what the hell is going on here? For the first time in his life, Itachi went pale. Oh Kami. Naruto and Sakura caught up with Sasuke just as he unleashed his third Chidori upon Gaara. Once completed, Sasuke fell to the ground, exhausted without chakra. As Sasuke fell to the ground, Gaara screamed with rage and dashed towards the prone Uchiha. That was Naruto's cue to enter the fight. Making sure that Sakura was safe, the fox boy used his inhuman speed to get to Gaara, then crashed his leg into the side of his head. As he stood, Naruto could feel all eyes on him, especially from Gaara, who seemed to be shaking in rage. Sand began to blaze around them in huge amounts of speed, making the sound of sandpaper rubbing together. Naruto, hand gripping the large sword on his back, waited for Gaara to finish whatever he was doing. Kid, that kid is not ordinary. I sense demon chakra in him. He's a vessel just as you are. Like me. Then I'll fight him and make sure that he doesn't hurt anyone. Very well, Kit. Good luck. Bringing himself back into the real world, Naruto noticed that Gaara had finished his transformation. Now both arms were made into claws and there was a single tail swishing behind him. Half of the Sand Nin's face was transformed, and there was a demonic eye glaring at him, the star-like pupil spinning furiously. Seeing the scared look on Sakura's trembling face, Naruto formed a seal and muttered a sleeping genjutsu on her, making her fall unconscious. He scooped her up and gently placed her next to Sasuke. In a deep and evil voice, Gaara yelled, "Who are you?" Naruto decided to take a chance and bowed. I am Uzumaki Naruto, and I am here to ensure that my friend's safety. You are probably unfamiliar with me as a person, and I don't know much about you, but I know other things. You are a vessel, and judging by the one tail you have, I am guessing you hold Shukaku. Am I correct? May I speak with him for a moment? Gaara's demonic eye widened, then narrowed. Seconds later, after a jutsu made by Gaara, stood a fully transformed Shukaku. Though he was huge, Naruto looked the demon in the eyes from the top of a large tree that he had jumped to. Shukaku, who had been paying attention to the fight, sized the boy in front of him up. The human was lean in human standards, with a large sword resting against a tire of a white large coat with faux flames at the bottom. Unruly blonde hair with a tinge of red rested on the kid's head, held up by a Konoha headband. When Shukaku looked into the human's gaze, he gasped. Looking back at him were not human eyes, but the unafraid eyes of a demon. Who are you, human? Why do you have the eyes of a demon? Speak now. Naruto bowed once again. As I said before, I am Uzumaki Naruto. To answer your question and to further introduce myself, I am the vessel of Kyuubi no Kitsune, Lord of the Tailed Beasts. Kyuubi and I have agreed that he would give me his chakra and powers until we have fully merged. When that takes place, I will be the new demon lord and Kyuubi will hand his title to myself, as I am his chosen heir and only holder of the demon fox contract. Shukaku began to shake in fear. Kyuubi-sama. My lord, I beg for your forgiveness. I did not know. Naruto dismissed it. Shukaku, again I say that as of now I am only the heir, not yet the Kyuubi. You will address me as Naruto until that time has come. However, you will win favor from me when I do if you aid me now. Is this understood? Shukaku nodded furiously. It would be an honor to serve you, Naruto-sama. What do you wish of me? Regress back into your vessel, Shukaku. Give him access to your chakra, but do not harm his mind. If you harm him, I shall see that you no further exist. I will complete his seal once the matters of the village are taken care of. When it is done, you will begin to merge with him, as Kyuubi has done with me. Give your power and words of guidance to your vessel. That is all. Shukaku bowed his head low, then the sand that made up his body began to fall off, and led into the gourd that Gaara had carried around. Naruto jumped back to the ground just in time to see Gaara stand up, now awake. The boy glared at Naruto. What did you do? Naruto smiled. I have spoken to your demon. He will obey my wishes and will harm you no more. If you will follow me back to my house, I will complete your unfinished seal. After that, Shukaku will begin to merge with you and you will be able to sleep and still be in control. You will also have your demon's chakra in your control. Now Gaara, will you come with me? Though he was skeptic, Gaara nodded. Anything for even one full night of sleep with no troubles. With that, Naruto picked up his friends and they made their way back to Konoha, along with Gaara, who kept taking suspicious glances at Naruto. Once Naruto and Gaara snuck Sakura into her house, and dropped Sasuke at the Uchiha district, they made their way for Naruto's place. Along the way, Naruto had taken care of any of the retreating ninja that had crossed their path. Gaara just raised an eyebrow as he observed how easily Naruto had taken lives. After 2 miles into the forest behind the Hokage monument, and, from Gaara's count, 13 sound ninja, they arrived at Naruto's place. When the two teens entered the house, they found Kakashi and Jiraiya, who were both tired and bloody, sitting on the couch. Naruto frowned. They were both talking about how much of a baka he was. Didn't they realize that those days were over as soon as he had finished absorbing all of Kyuubi's chakra? There was a weird side effect from the deal. Once all the chakra was transferred, Kyuubi had told Naruto that he had accident sent the boy some of his memories, which, coincidentally, consisted of the demon fox's few years of studying human philosophy and other such subjects. Plainly, with his new reasoning, Naruto easily figured that the demon was fed up with Naruto being dim, which he told himself he never was. There was a plus side, though. He had also got quite a few new and powerful jutsu from the memories as well. Bringing himself out of his thoughts, Naruto coughed, catching their attention. Sorry to interrupt this discussion on how stupid I am while you are at my house, but I need the space of the living room. So, if you aren't going to help, then get out. Kakashi smiled. Sure, Naruto-sama, what can we do to help? The boy glared when Kakashi emphasized his title, but nodded. Kakashi, I need you to move the couch into the next room. Jiraiya, get a brush. I'm going to be sealing a demon. Kakashi's eye went wide, but he did as he was told. Jiraiya just pulled a brush from his pocket, with a worried frown on his face. In a matter of moments, the couch was gone and both Kakashi and Jiraiya were in front of him. Jiraiya spoke, Naruto, do you know how to seal a demon? If you mess up, we will all die. I know how to do it. My demon gave me a few seals that are better than the one I have. The two other leaf ninja nodded, but Gaara frowned. What demon do you have, Naruto? The one-tailed Shukaku is very powerful. Can you do it? Naruto grinned. Of course, since I hold the nine-tailed Kyuubi. Now lay down on the floor and generate a little bit of Shukaku's chakra, but only enough to show your seal. In shock, Gaara did as he was told, too afraid to disobey, since Naruto held a higher demon and even had his own demon under his command. He felt a brush move around his seal, wet with what he figured was Naruto's blood. Soon, Gaara could feel that there were seals all around his upper torso and arms. Jiraiya and Kakashi watched in awe at how fast and skillfully Naruto worked with the brush, slashing his arm every few seconds to get blood before it healed again. Though he was fast, it took Naruto around 5 long minutes to finally finish. Setting down the brush, Naruto breathed out a sigh as he looked over his work for any flaws that he might have made. There were none. Sitting up straight, Naruto made the ram seal. After a few seconds, small streaks of red chakra flowed around his body, visible to all those around. Looking at Gaara and nodding, Naruto placed a single finger on the center of Gaara's seal and activated it. Immediately, all of the sand that Gaara had been using for years lifted into the air and rammed into the seal and was sucked into the boy's body. A flash of light came out, then faded away. Naruto could see that Gaara was whimpering a little bit and didn't blame him. This had to be painful. Naruto and the other two leaf nins watched as the seals that Naruto made began to shrink into the seal that was already there. When it stopped, the seal looked exactly like Naruto's. As the seal completed, Gaara's sand started to come back out of his body. However, it was changed. Now, it was as black as night. As the last jet of sand came out, Gaara's body collapsed as he went unconscious. The sealing was complete. Naruto sighed in relief and ushered out the other two ninja into the other room. Closing the door behind him, Naruto spoke to them both. He is safe from his demon now. Already, Shukaku is merging with Gaara as Kyuubi and I have done 3 weeks ago. However, as mine has taken all this time and still won't be done until a few more days, Gaara will be fully merged in a couple days' time since his demon only had one tail. He'll wake up fully merged, since I doubt he'll wake up anytime soon with all those years of no sleep. Kakashi was already reading his dirty book, since the interesting events were already done. He waved his hand in response and walked out of the door. Jiraiya nodded, then followed Kakashi, asking which parts he liked best. Naruto's sweat dropped. How can they be this perverted with all the cool things he did? The question was never answered as Itachi and a normal brown-haired ninja came through the door. Naruto raised an eyebrow as he noticed how Itachi was freaking out. Itachi, what's wrong? And who is this? I've never seen him before. Itachi looked at the guy beside him. Go ahead and drop the henge. Show Naruto who you are. The ninja nodded, and complied. Naruto looked on in curiosity as the smoke cleared. Starting at the feet, there was nothing weird there. Looking further up, Naruto began to get mad. Who was this guy to take Naruto's? Looking finally at the man's face and about to yell at the guy for stealing, Naruto's eyes went wide. Feeling suddenly faint, the only thing that came out of his mouth before going unconscious was only a whisper. Yondaime. When Naruto awoke a few hours later, he looked around the room. He was in his room. No doubt Itachi put him there. Only Itachi knew which room in this giant house was his. Naruto pulled his arms back and crosses then behind his head, attempting to think for a while. He was aware of exactly what made him faint. His father had just shown up. A frown came up on his face. That couldn't be true. His father was dead. Dead because of his son took his life. Things were just simply not adding up. Kyuubi-sama, are you awake? Yes, Kit. I have been in thought for the last few hours. Naruto mentally sighed. I guess I'll leave you to your thoughts then. A growl sounded in his mind. Nonsense. It is no trouble talking to you, Kit. Especially since I'm not long for this world much longer. I was just thinking about all the things that I would not be able to be with you much longer. In all senses, I think of you as my own Kit, and it is depressing to know that I will not be able to see what you will become. Idiot fox. After all that you have done for me, do you honestly think that I would just sit by as you disappear? It is inevitable, Kit. I have about 7 hours before we are fully merged. Naruto made sure that Kyuubi could feel his smirk. Oh really? Care to make a wager on that? Kit, I know you have something planned. Please, don't do something dangerous for me. I accept my fate. You should be happy. Soon, you will be ruler of all demons, and the best ninja ever. You are lucky. Some amazing powers are bestowed automatically to the demon lord, different for each one. Naruto sat up from his bed. You know, I was planning to ask you if my father was actually alive, and not just a fake. However, I doubt you're too deep into your unneeded angst to help me. He is your father. I know that just by being near him. No other human can produce such an aura as his power does. He can probably match your demon aura even as pure as yours has become. I will expect great things from you, my heir. To think, a human like you has received my demon blood and genes and has become stronger than any demon. It prides me to know that I have helped make what soon will be talked about for generations. Naruto smiled warmly. Thank you for your kind words, Kyuubi-sama. I will talk with you soon. Naruto moved to his dresser and felt around the side. Pressing a hidden button, a compartment opened up, revealing a single folder. Smirking, Naruto moved into the middle of the room and sat down. Inside the folder was Naruto's best creation yet. All his hard work and studying of sealing techniques were put together into one seal. Grabbing the seal note and a pouch of pills that were saved away for just this occasion, Naruto made a shadow clone on the spot, not even needing hand seals to do the technique any longer. Once the clone was there, Naruto started to make hand seals. Once the last hand seal was made, Naruto whispered, "Influx chakra barrier." The technique that Naruto used had a single purpose. It would keep chakra from being detected from outside the barrier, no matter how large. And Naruto needed that very badly. Taking a deep breath, Naruto sighed and nodded to his clone, who already knew what to do. The clone moved his hand into the single seal that caused the fox boy to get into trouble many times before. The seal used for the first kinjutsu he had ever invented. Sexy no jutsu. However, the technique was not limited to making him look like a girl. No, this technique was different from any henge. His transformation completely changed the body. In short, those times that Naruto used the skill, he actually was a girl. A real transformation. Also, as it was being used now, the technique could make him change into anything, not just him as a girl. He could become an old man or a young boy. This time, the clone made himself into a man around the age of 20. There were some strange things about this man's features that were not normal, but that was the point. Once the clone was finished, Naruto sucked in a breath and held it as he put the seal knot onto the clone's forehead and pushed as much chakra as he could into the seal. Immediately, a bright red light flashed, but did not go away. Several minutes later, Naruto felt the last of his chakra being drained. Still holding onto the seal, the blonde gulped down one of the soldier pills that he had in the pouch and felt his chakra completely fill up again. Renewed, Naruto began to push chakra into the seal at a faster rate, creating chakra burns on his palm, but he didn't care. It would heal soon enough. As he came close to using half of his renewed chakra, the light dimmed down, signaling Naruto to stop fueling chakra. The light completely faded away and the chakra barrier disappeared, leaving Naruto drenched in sweat. Popping another pill into his mouth, he felt good as new. He smirked. Mission success. In the living room of the Uzumaki clan house, now known as Naruto's house, sat two great ninja. Uchiha Itachi and Uzumaki Arashi. Silence had taken its hold ever since Naruto had fainted. Itachi was silent because he just didn't know what to say, and Arashi because he was looking around, finding changes that had happened since he had been gone. Finally, Arashi sighed, "So, can you tell me what has been happening since I have been gone?" Itachi looked down, feeling guilty. "I can, but it won't be much. Until 3 days ago, I was a missing nin." Arashi blinked. "Really?" Itachi nodded. "However, I can tell you what I have seen so far and heard from Naruto." This caused a smile from Arashi. "Please do." Naruto stayed silent, just observing his newest jutsu in action. He had to make sure he did it right, after all. The clone looked around, completely alert and confused. Looking forward at Naruto, the clone narrowed his eyes. "What in the hell did you do?" Naruto relaxed. "It had worked all right. Now, how can you be so rude, Kyuubi? Especially since I just did the impossible just for you. Told you that your angst was unneeded." Kyuubi gave the boy a confused look. "The impossible?" The boy nodded as he sat down at the edge of his bed. "Yes. See, I knew that the time would come when you would disappear, and me being me, just wouldn't let that happen. I spent 2 days of constant study on sealing techniques just to come up with what I did today." "And what, pray tell, did you do?" Kyuubi received a foxy smirk before his question was answered. "I gave you a new chance at life. First, I simply made a shadow clone and had it transform into the person you are now. Second, was the hard part. The seal I created and used then had 3 main functions that will remain with you for the rest of your life. The first function was that it made the clone into a real body. Completely human, where it could no longer be called a technique, but an actual person. That used up most of my near limitless chakra. The second function gave the new body a completely developed chakra coil, so that the body could replenish chakra. That's what sealed the deal for the body. It would be there for good and won't break down or die. The third and last function, as you can probably guess, destroyed its mind, and transferred yours into the body. I based it of the famous mind swap jutsu that Ino and her family uses, but this is a little more permanent. That about sums up what I did." Kyuubi's eyes went wide. "So, that means..." Naruto grinned. "Exactly, you're here for good. Congrats. Although, there are some things I need to tell you first." Kyuubi was listening to Naruto's every word, like. "Simply put, you're completely human. Emotions and all. No longer are you a demon. It will be weird at first, but I'm sure you'll get used to the feelings." I suggest you study up on books about human children care and stuff like that. Then, human anatomy for a grown male. They will tell you in detail how your body functions and what limits the human body has. Unlike demons, humans need to sleep almost every day, and eat proper food to be able to function at its best. I'll make sure to be around and guide you until you know enough to do it on your own. Kyubi nodded. He was actually memorizing every word. His kit had given him the greatest gift. A second chance. He would be a fool to let it slip away due to not treating himself right. Is there anything else? Naruto smiled. Your chakra. It works different now, so you'll have to relearn how to control it. Once you do, I made sure that you had a chakra reserve about the size of Itachi's to start off with, but with training, you can make it larger. It will be hard, but I'm sure you can do it. I'll help you as you helped me learn to use demon chakra. Call it returning the favor. What will you do with your new life? It's yours to choose. Kyubi smirked. For some foolish reason, I want to become a leaf ninja and team up with a loud mouth. How will I learn to control my chakra? I want to start right away. Naruto shook his head. No, first learn to control your body, then chakra. Trust me, it is more important. It should take about a week to learn how to control your body. Then, knowing your intelligence, chakra will be a snap. Admitting defeat, Kyubi walked over to the mirror and looked at his new image, Naruto watching intently. Looking back at him was an unfamiliar face. His skin was tanned, but showed no blemishes. He was about as tall as Naruto was now. His figure was slender, but toned. His clothes consisted of the exact clothes Naruto wore, no doubt since the clothes was Naruto's. The face was lean, holding no baby fat. He had no facial hair, and doubted that he ever would. He had tattoos on his cheeks, much like the Inuzuka clan, but his were black and sharper than theirs. As he looked at his eyes and hair, he spun around to face Naruto. You gave me blue eyes and blonde hair. I look like you, brat. Naruto smiled warmly. Of course. I greatly look like my father, so I figured that it was an Uzumaki trait. Well, I have red eyes now and red streaks through my blonde, but you remember how I used to look. I found it fitting that you had the same traits I had, since you're family now, too. Like my big brother, really. Kyubi smiled at the boy, Uzumaki Kyubi. That will take time getting used to. Speaking of your father, we need to go meet him. Though I can't wear this out there. That belongs to you and Arashi. I need my own style. Naruto walked to his closet and pulled out a couple articles of clothing, and held them up. They were exactly like Arashi's coat, but the colors and kanji were different, so, which one do you like best? I had two different ones made so you can have a choice. Since my father is back and has his coat, I might as well as take the one you don't. I need a different style as well. Kyubi looked at them both. The first was black where the original coat was white, and the flames were still red. On the back, the kanji said, Kyubi, in the same red color as the flames. The second coat was black as well, but the flames and the kanji for Kyubi were blue. After a moment, Kyubi reached out and grabbed the one with blue flames and kanji. As he changed, he explained, I'll take the blue since they match the color of my eyes. As the one with red matches yours. It's fitting that they both say, Kyubi, since I'm the old Kyubi and you're the new. Naruto flashed a foxy smirk and threw on his new coat as well. However, he left his sword sitting on the bed, since it need to be cleaned after all the blood that had been left on it. Feeling relaxed in the new clothing, he looked over to his new big brother. Come, let's go become legends. It was around the middle of their tale when Kakashi and Jiraiya came and saw who was there. Itachi they were fairly used to, but to see Arashi sitting and talking completely flipped their world. As to not make them faint, Itachi and Arashi quickly summed up how the Yondaime was back. Soon, There was hugs and they settled down to talk about everything that had happened. Arashi was most interested about how everyone had a connection to his son. Everyone sat into a comfortable silence after talking about what had happened for the last several years and stories about Naruto, both good and bad. Arashi leaned back and thought about each thing that concerned his son. Kakashi used to be Naruto's sensei, before Naruto quit the team due to the favoritism Kakashi had showed Sasuke. This discomforted him a little. However, now his son and Kakashi had a pretty close friendship. Kakashi even told Naruto about his family. Jiraiya had trained Naruto to summon the toads. That had made Yondaime smirk. Like father, like son, it seems. He laughed at the nickname the boy had given his sensei, and waved off the warning that he was given about never using the same name if he wanted to stay alive. The surprising thing was that Naruto had won Jiraiya's place on the legendary Sannin. The boy must be insanely strong to be his sensei. Arashi grinned. Looks like it was time for the long-due family spar. Itachi, now reinstated and also newly appointed Orochimaru's replacement on the Sannin trio, was Naruto's new teammate. Naruto had brought him back to Konoha and convinced Sarutobi to hear him out. Now, Itachi and Naruto lived in this house. Naruto, in general, was amazing. Even though all the abuse he had taken from the stupid village, the boy smiled at life. Though he used to be quite a dunce, things had changed. Uzumaki Naruto was one of the best, due, surprisingly, to Kyuubi. The fox had befriended the boy, trained him, and gave him his power. No wonder Naruto looked so fox-like when he had seen him. That made Arashi wonder what else the fox had given his son. If he ever saw Kyuubi again, he would have to thank the fox. His thoughts were brought to an end when the group heard talking come closer. Arashi looked at each other with confused looks. One voice was Naruto, but the other sounded unfamiliar. It couldn't be that Gaara kid, he was still asleep and would be for days. This new voice belonged to someone else. Through the door came two figures, both with blonde hair, and clothes with the same design as Arashi's, but each with different colors. They both looked close enough to be family. Naruto, all fox features aside, looked like Arashi's son, but the other looked exactly like the Yondaime, with the exception on the tattoos on his face. The other ninja stood up in front of the two, waiting for an introduction while being as alert as ever. Naruto smiled at everyone, before he found himself locked in a gaze with his father. Everyone in the room, including Kyuubi, backed off to give the two their respected space. However, Naruto snapped out of his daze and grabbed Kyuubi by the jacket and pulled him up to them. You should meet him, too. Arashi watched his son's actions. Naruto, who is this young man? Are we related somehow? Naruto nodded. Yes, he is my big brother. Everyone else sweat dropped, though it was Kakashi that snapped out of it. Okay, brat. We get it. Nice joke. Dispel the clone, you don't have a brother. Naruto smiled. I do now. Father, I want you to meet my new big brother, Kyuubi. For a second, everyone was frozen in shock. However, once that wore off, they went into defensive stances, except for Itachi, who knew Kyuubi personally for 2 weeks now. He just simply sat back down and looked at Kyuubi in wonder. He had never taken human form before. The others, though, were edging forward. Having none of that, Naruto took a step forward, letting his massive chakra become visible. No one will dare touch him unless they get through me. He is human now, just as you are. As he is getting used to his new body, he cannot protect himself. However, I sure as hell can. Kyuubi put a hand on his shoulder. Naruto, I can leave. I don't want this to ruin your relationship with these people. Naruto never stopped glaring at the group. No, brother. It is okay. They just don't understand. That's all. We shall explain to them. They will see. He motioned for everyone to sit down, which they did so, but had their guard up. As Naruto told them about how his deal with Kyuubi started and until now, the ninjas slowly relaxed. Naruto explained how his and Kyuubi's relationship was and how Kyuubi had been about to be fully absorbed. He also told them about the technique he used in detail, to which they were amazed that he could pull off such a thing. In fact, he told them everything, except for two things. However, he knew they would soon ask and he would not lie. Everyone was now completely relaxed, but the two brothers were still standing up. Seeing no seats anywhere, Naruto motioned for them to go get some chairs. As they walked into the next room, Arashi and the others noticed the kanji on their backs. When they got back, the Yondaime asked about it. Son, I can understand Kyuubi having his name on his coat, but why is it on yours as well? And if Kyuubi is fully out of your body, why do you still have transformed features? Is it because his chakra is still inside you? Naruto froze for a second, but relaxed. He sighed. To answer your questions, I will have to explain something. Please keep an open mind. Kyuubi does not have his name on his coat. To put it simply, he no longer has a name, since it was long forgotten. Kyuubi is the rank given to the nine tails by demons. So, in a way, that is his name, since he was the Kyuubi. Was? Asked Kakashi. By becoming human, another demon has the chance to become the nine tails and ruler of the demons, right? Like our Hokage. Naruto nodded. Exactly. When Sarutobi retired, for my father, everyone still called him Sandame. Likewise, my brother will always have the right to be referred to as Kyuubi. Arashi frowned. But won't that mean since Kyuubi is no longer a demon, every demon will be jumping at the chance to become the ruler? That would put humans at risk again. And even if the ruler has been decided, the demon may attack Konoha and try to finish the threat that defeated the last demon lord. Naruto shook his head. No, the demon lord has already been named and will have no desire to destroy Konoha. Jiraiya jumped up. What makes you so sure about that, brat? Naruto simply smiled. Because I am the new demon lord. That is why the kanji for Kyuubi is upon my back as well. Arashi's eyes went as white as plates. Son, what are you talking about? You're human. A human can't be the demon lord, no matter how much chakra you have. Kyuubi cleared his throat. Arashi, you made an error when you sealed me into the kit. Apparently, it not only absorbed my chakra, but it also made him half demon. You should be proud. He will be more powerful than anyone in the world, will have the highest rank anyone can achieve, and that's even if he doesn't become Hokage. If he does become Hokage, just think. He could make sure no demon or human ever threatened the village. Hell, he could even unite the leaf and the demons if he so wished. The ultimate protector. Everyone was silent as the news sunk in. Naruto, being the dead last, was now the highest ranking being in the world. However, that didn't mean everyone would listen to his command. Naruto's eyes snapped open. He whirled around to Kyuubi. Brother. We forgot about Sasuke. Hachimata might try to pull something now that the power has changed. As soon as he said that, an explosion went off from somewhere in the village. Everyone ran outside, while Naruto came out a few seconds later with his sword on his back. Itachi growled, I know that chakra. It's the leader of Akatsuki, and he's at the Uchiha compound. Naruto growled, damn it, Itachi and Kakashi, go after him. Make sure that we get Sasuke back. Restrain him if need be. I have to stay here. I have to get Kyuubi used to his new body as well as convince Shukaku to stay. Now, hurry. The two ninja nodded and disappeared. Once gone, Naruto looked at Arashi, who had a sloppy grin on his face. What the hell are you smiling at? Kyuubi, who was also grinning, answered, it seems that you have a natural ability to lead. Yondaime smirked. He's right, little Godime. You really take after me. Kyuubi snickered, "It's so cute." Arashi nodded. Yeah, Naruto had a giant smile on his face as he walked back into his house, followed by two other blondes who both had large bumps on top of their heads.